everybody, it's me, your host, Suzanne Monk, host of Trump Talk. Welcome to this special edition of Trump Talk. Trump on healthcare. Welcome. We do a little special Periscope cast every day that talks about all things Donald J. Trump. And when I skip a show, for some reason I do one every single day, but if for some reason I miss out, I do a special so that you can share this with your friends who are either already informed or maybe aren't well informed about Trump on the specific issues. We're going to talk today on health care. Trump on health care reform is amazing, you guys. He has a 7-point plan that will really make a difference with the healthcare problem. Let's just start talking about it from the top. Of course, repeal Obamacare. Completely repealing Obamacare, eliminating the individual mandate. That is step 1 of the 7 steps in Trump's healthcare plan. Obviously vitally important because, as we know, Obamacare is a disaster and it continues to get worse and worse. Step number 2, open up insurance sales across state lines. This is so important. Freeing the market up so that insurance companies can compete across state lines provides so many more options for the insurance purchaser. As long as the insurance meets state guidelines, that individual will be able to purchase insurance from any state. And what has happened up until now, states have allowed the borders to become micro monopolies, causing companies to be able to charge exorbitant rates in areas where there is smaller amounts of competition. Maybe there's fewer insurance companies, and areas where there are more people, they can even have different situations where we develop monopolistic situations because of government affiliation and cronyism. So the problem is, as always, when you allow the states to control rules and to decide what companies can compete, we have problems. Trump's plan is to open up those borders across state lines. But that's not his only plan. This is a 7-point plan. That's where everybody stops. They say Trump is just going to undo the lines. Undoing the lines is actually very important, but it's certainly not the whole plan. Let's talk about step number 3. Step number 3, Trump wants to allow individuals to be able to fully deduct their health insurance premiums. At this point, currently, businesses are allowed to deduct their health insurance premiums, but individuals are not allowed to deduct the full amount of their health insurance premiums. Under a Trump health care reform plan, individuals would be allowed to deduct the full amount of their insurance from their tax return. He would also want to review Medicaid and to make sure that those who want insurance, we're going to come back to that in a minute, those who want insurance are able to have it who cannot afford it, those who want it. So let's move on. Health savings accounts. I did want to mention when we were talking, this is important, when we were talking about the individual mandate, there was a specific line that said, no person should be required, this is a specific quote from Mr. Trump, no person should be required to buy insurance unless he or she wants to. Now, I went back to talk about that because it's so important to understand so much of what's been the problem with Obamacare is the mandate and with the business of government making a decision for individuals like ourselves. Mr. Trump specifically is very clear that no person should be required to purchase insurance if they do not want to. And when talking about Medicaid, he is also does not want to push Medicaid on anybody. He wants to provide it for people who want insurance and who are unable to afford it. So it certainly changes the dynamic from Obamacare, which forces you to get insurance. This is certainly a more consumer-based and customer-responsive system. But we're not done. Number 4, health savings accounts. This is a key component in the plan and is going to do some really amazing things for helping people to afford healthcare as well. The next step, which we'll talk about in a minute. But right now, health savings accounts. They will be tax-free and accumulating. They become part of the estate of the individual, can be passed down to in your will. There will be no death penalty or penalty on passing it down to your wife, spouse, child, niece, uncle, whoever you have named as your benefactor. Additionally, they can be used for any member of the family. Tax-free, accumulating, no death penalty. Can be used for any member of the family, become part of your estate and part of your personal wealth. So this is going to provide people a great deal of options for providing themselves health care while affordable. Now, if I'm paying for my own health care out of a health savings account, I need another thing. I need number 5, which is on Mr. Trump's plan, price transparency. You know as well as I do, the insurance companies have thrived on a system forced upon them by the federal government, who continues to underpay Medicare, underpay Medicaid, the doctor loop, all of these things, the loophole, donut hole I think it is. They're not paying what the medical care is worth to the hospital. So the hospital makes up for that difference of the money they're not getting from the government by charging insurance companies more. And this has created a huge problem in the medical industry. There is no set price, and we are dealing with all kinds of price manipulation from the medical providers and the insurance companies. With price transparency, you'd be able to shop for the care you need and get that information, what that would cost. At this point, doctors are not even allowed to share that information with each other due to a whole bunch of laws and rules that the insurance companies have paid a lot of lobbyists to keep in place. Mr. Trump wants to eliminate that by requiring price transparency. It's going to do a great thing for healthcare. So, number 6, block grant Medicaid. And that's totally true. We're going to talk about that. I'll mention that at the end because it's not one of the 7 points, but it's a really, really good point. And we'll just keep it secret for everybody else so they don't know what you just... Oh, maybe they do. I don't know. Did they? I don't know how that little sign works. I'm working on that. So, let's do about number 7, block granting Medicaid. The states do a much better job of paying for Medicaid in their own state and knowing what needs they are. At this point, the federal government pays directly for Medicaid, causes a lot of problems. If you do block grants for Medicaid and give that money directly to the states, allow them to use the money within the state system for what they need, you will save a ton of money. That's point number 7. Let's move on to point number 6. Point number 7 is to allow U.S. citizens to access imported drugs and other means of buying affordable drugs overseas, across state lines, across international borders. The pharmaceutical companies have lobbied and put a lot of money into the government to make sure that we keep the drugs made in America as only you can buy drugs that are made for America because we have special standards. But we all know the standards are perfectly good in Canada as well. They're perfectly good in other places where we can get equal quality drugs for far less because there aren't these negotiated deals with Congress and the pharmaceutical company. So, Trump plans to eliminate that and allow us to purchase drugs across the board from other countries and in more affordable ways, which would save us a ton of money. And agreed, other means he's talked about, bulk buying drugs. Certainly there would be a variety of ways to do that. You mentioned Trump is also in support, 100% in support of medical marijuana. I'm sure that in and of itself, having a government that was more supportive of finding more treatment methods and being proactive in researching more affordable means of treatment would certainly also be an excellent way. So not everybody's a big fan of medical marijuana, but Trump, very compassionate. It's one of the most compassionate things about him. He's always very compassionate, making sure people get the medicine they need. And he's not a big social issues guy. He's not big on the social issues. But he's great on healthcare. To review, repeal Obamacare. No person should buy insurance unless they want it. Open insurance sales from across state lines. Fully deduct insurance premiums from your taxes. Health savings accounts that are tax-free, can be passed on to your heirs and used by everybody in your family. Price transparency from healthcare providers. Block granting Medicaid to save money and return the expenditures to the states who know what's best for their state. And number 7, allowing access to cheaper, more affordable drugs, ending the pharmaceutical lobby's grip on Washington and on our medical community and, of course, on the citizens here in this country. So that is Trump on healthcare reform, you guys. You can go to donaldjtrump.com and look up positions. You will be able to read the entire position. It's a page and a half. It's not long, but it's quality stuff, and it's some of the most valuable things I think Trump has to offer is genuine plans for not just how to repeal Obamacare, but how to move us forward both on the individual setting and on the veteran setting. That is correct. He wants to make it possible for veterans to use Doctors Anywhere, vouchers for them so that they can get treatment without waiting for the VA. Trump is actually really smart on this issue, you guys. Healthcare reform. Go read about it. Read about healthcare reform and on his veterans issues on donaldjtrump.com. And until then, I'm Suzanne Monk. This is Lil Trumpy. Thanks for tuning in to Trump Talk Special Edition. Trump on healthcare. Thanks for voting, California. Keep voting if you're coming. Primaries coming up. We need all the delegates we can get so we can make more rules. Love you guys. Bye.